Welcome to today's Explainer. I am incredibly excited to dive into this one with you because we're talking about the very thing you're using right this second to understand my words, your brain. Every single day, your brain is doing one of two things. It's either getting stronger or, and this is the truly scary part, it's getting weaker. And most of us don't even notice it happening. It's this silent shift. We totally tend to think of our intelligence as this fixed thing, like it's locked in at birth, but the data actually shows it's incredibly malleable. It literally adapts to whatever demands we place on it. So today, we're going to break down exactly what's dragging your cognitive performance down, and how you can spot it before it completely takes over.
So, let me ask you, have you been dealing with serious brain fog lately? Does it kind of feel like your attention is constantly slipping, or maybe your memory is just a little bit slower than it used to be? I really want to validate that experience for you right now. If your sharpness feels off lately, the research is crystal clear. It is absolutely not because you're naturally losing your edge or something. Not at all. It's actually because of really small, daily habits that you're repeating over and over again. Your focus weakens, your mind gets hooked on cheap dopamine, and your actual baseline cognitive performance physically drops. It's all a direct result of routines you might not even realize you have hardwired into your everyday life.
Okay, let's dive into this. Today, we're breaking down the 3 specific modern traps draining your brain. Number 1, the social media loop. Number 2, the missed repair shift. And number 3, the attention reset cost. Starting off with Section 1, the social media loop, and why our brains are craving constant stimulation. Now, this craving for constant stimulation is something pretty much all of us deal with, right? And it has this profound, actual physical impact on our neurochemistry. Let's just look at the direct cause and effect here. Step 1, you endlessly scroll through short videos on your phone. We've all been there. But here's what that's actually doing in Step 2, it completely hijacks your brain's reward center. You're basically conditioning your mind to expect a massive, highly stimulating reward every, 15 seconds. Because of that, we hit Step 3, your attention span totally fractures. Suddenly, doing anything that takes real, slow-burn effort, like reading a complex book or analyzing data, starts to feel incredibly, painfully boring. Your brain's threshold for stimulation has skyrocketed, so it just flat out doesn't want to do the hard work anymore.
And when your brain starts expecting this constant hit of entertainment, it severely degrades your ability to concentrate on the important stuff. Think of your brain like a muscle. If you completely stop feeding it nutrient-dense meals and only give it digital junk food, highly processed, tiny clips of media, that muscle is absolutely going to atrophy. You are literally making your intelligence weaker. The more used to rapid-fire distraction your mind gets, the harder it is to just sit and think clearly in a quiet room. Social media isn't just some harmless time waster. It's actively rewiring your neuropathways and putting a ceiling on your capacity for deep thought.
All right, moving to Section 2, the missed repair shift, or the massive cost of skipping sleep.
Society completely misunderstands the biological necessity of rest. We actually treat sleep deprivation like it's some sort of badge of honor, right? The classic 4-hour hustle brag. It's this wild idea that to outwork everybody else, you have to sacrifice your sleep. But the biological reality of that hustle is, quite literally, brain damage. Skipping sleep doesn't just make you groggy, it seriously wrecks your cognitive function, destroys your emotional regulation, and completely compromises your health. So many people love to brag about only getting 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night, wearing it like a symbol of extreme dedication. But here is a fascinating truth from the source material. Truly highly successful people, I'm talking elite athletes like LeBron James or top-tier CEOs, they take sleep incredibly seriously. They are usually getting a solid 8 to 10 hours a night. They definitely aren't bragging about pulling all-nighters because they view cognitive clarity as an absolute, non-negotiable asset. Trying to run your most valuable tool on an empty tank is just a terrible strategy for long-term success.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is exactly what happens when you finally close your eyes. Sleep is not just passive downtime. It is the brain's highly active night shift. This is the critical window where your brain physically repairs itself from the day's wear and tear, actually flushing out neurotoxins that build up while you're awake. It's also when it locks in memories. It takes all the frantic info from your day and meticulously moves it from short-term to long-term storage, which is how you actually learn and retain things. And lastly, it resets your mental energy for tomorrow. If you skip this shift, all of this essential biological maintenance, it simply doesn't happen.
And that sets off this brutal compounding loop. Step 1 is sleep deprivation, which forces Step 2, you completely miss that crucial repair and reset phase we just talked about. So the inevitable result is Step 3. Your reaction times slow way down and your memory just tanks. Without enough rest, even the most basic routine tasks suddenly become noticeably harder. A tired brain simply can't process complex variables, which makes smart, strategic decision-making practically impossible. You're basically trying to drive a high-performance sports car with a completely clogged engine.
Let's hit section 3, the attention reset cost, and why multitasking is totally a myth.
There is such a massive gap here between what we think we're achieving and what's physically happening in our brains. Most of us think bouncing between tasks makes us super productive. That's the perceived productivity. But the reality is the actual attention reset cost. There's this concept called attention residue. Every single time you switch tasks, a little piece of your focus literally gets left behind on the old task. Multitasking doesn't help you get more done at all. It actively destroys your concentration because your brain is constantly forced to clean up this messy residue.
Think about it like this. Imagine trying to read a really dense, complex book, while someone stands right next to you and randomly shouts a word every 30 seconds. Your brain has to completely stop, figure out what the noise was, check if it's a threat, and then desperately try to find its exact spot on the page again. That massive tax on your brain power is exactly what you do to yourself every time you jump between browser tabs, check a text, watch a quick video, and try to get back to work. You're constantly resetting your attention. Research shows it can actually take over 20 minutes for your brain to fully refocus after checking just one single distracting message. Your brain has to start the engine all over again, burning incredible amounts of mental energy in the process.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we're losing. Deep focus. Deep focus is just the ability to lock in and concentrate on one single thing for a long stretch of time. The source material emphasizes that this is arguably the single most important skill you can have for becoming smarter and mastering difficult concepts. When you force your brain to constantly restart through multitasking, you are directly crushing your capacity for deep focus. You are literally eroding the exact foundational skill you need to grow your intelligence.
So here is the final cause and effect loop to keep in mind. You switch between apps and messages. Your brain goes through that exhausting, constant attention reset, and because of that, learning just becomes tremendously harder. The more distracted your brain is, the harder it is to absorb new info, make creative leaps, and actually grow. You aren't just making your workday take longer. You are actively lowering your functional IQ for the day. You're throwing huge speed bumps on your own path to getting smarter.
Let's wrap up with section 4, taking back your brain, and how we reverse this damage.
Okay, I know we've talked about a lot of heavy negative impacts today, but I want to end this on a super empowering note. Remember what we said at the very beginning? These are just habits. And because they're just habits, you have the absolute power to stop them right now before they totally take over. So the crucial point is this. If you want to protect your intelligence, you have to actively manage these 3 IQ killers. You have to break that dopamine loop of social media overload. You have to respect your brain's night shift and drop the sleep deprivation bragging. And you have to embrace deep focus by completely abandoning the myth of multitasking.
I really want to leave you with this final thought. As you step away from this explainer and jump back into your day, just take a hard look at your routines. Look at your phone habits, how you work, and how you prioritize your sleep. Based on the very next choices you make, is your brain going to get stronger or weaker today? The choice is entirely up to you. Thanks so much for learning with me today, and I challenge you to start protecting that IQ right now.